Mr Dowden, can you hear me? Thank you very, very much indeed for your time this morning. I've just been speaking to Michael Portillo about some of these allegations in the Mail on Sunday. I do need to ask you, because you were party chairman at the time, it's been suggested that the Tory party covered up a rape claim or several alleged rape claims, paid for a complainant to be sent to a private hospital rather than speak to the police. You were party chairman before Jake Berry wrote this letter alerting the authorities to what had gone on. What knowledge do you have of these events, Mr Dowden?
Well, first of all, I should factually clarify that I wasn't the immediate predecessor of Jake Berry. I don't recognise these reports, and it certainly wasn't the case when I was party chairman that there was any kind of cover-up. Indeed, I take exceptionally seriously these reports and allegations. First of all, they should be a matter for the police, but also there was an independent party complaints procedure. There can be zero tolerance of this kind of activity.
But did the party pay for the private hospital bill of a rape complainant?
Well, that's certainly not something that I signed off as chairman of the Conservative Party. I didn't have knowledge of that. I can't say for certain to you simply because I don't know the name of the complainants in question. I don't think it has, sorry, the name of the person whose fees have meant to have been paid by the party.
But I mean, surely there can't be that many people whose private hospital fees might have been paid by the party.
Well, as I say, I don't recognise this from my time as chairman of the Conservative Party, and I certainly didn't sign off something like that as chairman.
So you've got no knowledge of this. Do we think Nadine Dorries, your former Conservative colleague, is making it up, or there's no truth to it? Because we've got a letter from Jake Berry. It seems to have been quoted extensively in the Mail on Sunday.
Well, my understanding is, and I haven't read every last line of the report, that the person hasn't been named, but that's a matter for the Mail on Sunday, for Nadine Dorries and for others.
Well, the person might not have been named, but did it happen? This letter has been written by Jake Berry, your successor, suggesting that the Tory party has paid the private hospital bill of a rape complainant rather than necessarily sending her to the police station.
Well, all I can say to you is, as I've said, Camilla, I didn't sign off anything like that, and I don't recognise it myself.
So you don't have any knowledge of this having happened?
No, like I said, I was chairman of the Conservative Party. I did not sign off something like that.
Yeah, but did you have any knowledge of it having happened?
No, I'm sorry. Have I not made that clear to you?
No, so you don't have any knowledge of this story at all?
I don't know who the person is because they haven't been named, and I've also said to you that in respect of both a cover-up, I have zero knowledge of that, and we would not have covered up at all, and I certainly didn't sign off any kind of support in the way that has been described there.
OK. Let's move on to the controversy around this pro-Palestinian march on Armistice Day. Do you think this march should take place?
I have really grave concerns about this, and I think that certainly representing a large Jewish community as I do, but it's broader than the Jewish community. The Remembrance Sunday is about, and indeed Remembrance Day on the day this march is planned, is about remembering the sacrifice of previous generations, and is a solemn moment in our nation's history. And I don't personally feel that that would be appropriate. I also have concerns about the potential for violence and other misconduct. But in the end, the law of the land is that the police are operationally independent, and that's a decision for the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police.
I know, but we've heard from Sir Mark Rowley in the week saying that he doesn't think he has adequate powers to stop the march. So if the government wants the march to be stopped, if polling suggests that the public want the march to be stopped, why doesn't a Conservative government stop the march?
Well, there's a very simple process in law. And indeed, it's happened before. It happened when Theresa May was Home Secretary, when there was an English Defence League march the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police applied for that march to be banned, and she provided the authority as Home Secretary. The law sets out that it is a matter for the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police to request it of the Home Secretary. I think you've seen from the Home Secretary's comments where she's inclined to be on it, but that is the way that it works. That's how the law works.
So is Suella Braverman going to be saying to the Metropolitan Police Commissioner this week, you must stop this march? You have the powers, so can you stop it, please?
Well, I think you've seen from Suella's comments how grave her concerns are about it. And I think both in terms of the signal it sends about our society, our British society, we should be honouring and respecting the sacrifice made by previous generations. And you certainly shouldn't have the kind of intimidation that you see in those marches. And so I think her view is pretty clear on those points.
We know her views, we know your views, we know Rishi Sunak's views, but it's all talk and no action. Are you going to try and put influence on the Met Police Commissioner? If he says he has the powers or he needs the powers, either you say to him, you've got the powers, so can you please stop the march? Or you say, you don't have the powers, so we're going to introduce emergency legislation through the House as soon as the House gets back sitting after the King's speech to make sure that this march can be stopped on Saturday.
Well, there may be questions about that for the longer term, but the law as it stands is that it is for the Met to make that judgment. You've seen both the comments of the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary. I very strongly agree with that as well. I simply don't think this is appropriate. We've made that position clear to the Metropolitan Police, but ultimately we have to respect the operational independence of the police. That's how policing works in this country, and that's how the law is set up under Policing Acts and others going back, I think, to 1986.
You've quoted the Home Secretary there. Do you agree with her that homelessness is a lifestyle choice?
Well, I want to be in a position where we have zero rough sleeping, and to deal with that, we have to deal with both the push and the pull.
We all do, but is it a lifestyle choice?
Help people who find themselves in a position where they're... No, if you just let me explain the position, deal with the factors that lead people onto the street, whether it's drug or alcohol addiction, and we've committed over £2 billion to addressing that. Now, if ultimately people are still on the streets after that, and we're having the kind of disruption that you've seen with these tents and all these other things, we don't want a situation where those spring up across the UK. So it's right to look at taking those powers, and that's what we're doing and as part of our legislative considerations.
But is lifestyle choice the right way to refer to homelessness, Mr Dowden?
Well, I think that ultimately, if there are other places you can go, and the government has made sure that there are safe places for people to go, and people continue to be on the street, then we should be able to take those powers to remove them. Each individual minister is going to choose their exact words, but I agree with the sentiment of what the Home Secretary is saying, which is let's make sure people aren't on the street in the first place, because we dealt with the underlying causes of it. If people are still choosing to be on the streets, I think the government should be able to take those powers, as indeed we had under the Vagrancy Act previously.
But should we be taking rough sleepers' tents away?
Well, I think you're talking about measures in extremis. What I would much rather our focus to be, and indeed our focus as a government has been, is about dealing with the underlying causes, dealing with drug addiction, helping people with alcohol addiction. But as an extremist power, it's something that is certainly worth exploring in the way that the Home Secretary described.
Let's talk about artificial intelligence, because you're quoted in a press release this morning talking about how we might see a future where we're seeing ministers handing over their red boxes to a bot. Should we be worried about these developments? I know there's been a few fears expressed at the AI summit that the Prime Minister hosted in the week with Elon Musk about people losing their jobs because of AI. Are we now saying that the bots are going to take over the running of government, Mr Dowden?
Well, first of all, I think we should first of all see AI as an enormous opportunity, the potential to transform humanity, whether it's challenges like diagnosing cancer, Alzheimer's and so on. We do have to address the risks, and we made progress with that at the summit this week. I think government, though, should also adopt artificial intelligence. It shouldn't be the case that artificial intelligence is driving efficiency across the private sector and the government doesn't do the same thing ourselves. And that's what we're doing. doing, whether it's in relation to assessing, say, benefit fraud, or in helping with ministerial red boxes. And what that really means is there's huge amounts of information coming in, condensing that, getting to the facts of it, and then, of course, ministers make their decisions in the proper way.
Mr Dowden, thank you very much indeed for joining me this morning.